Hi, One True Church. I wanted to make a quick reply to your post on abortion. I think there's actually many mistakes, but I kind of want to focus on just one because I think it's probably the most important one. Your entire argument against abortion seems to focus on the idea that the case in favor of allowing abortion, having abortion legalized, depends on the idea that fetuses aren't people. And that really shows that you're completely unfamiliar with the literature on the morality of abortion from the last 30 years, because the single most important article on the topic of abortion in the ethics literature comes from a philosopher by the name of Judith Jarvis Thomson, whose article in defense of abortion completely changed the debate on this topic. She starts with the assumption that the fetuses are people. She grants that assumption to the pro-life community and then continues to argue from that point very compellingly that nonetheless abortion is still permissible. And her argument hinges on something, a very famous thought experiment called the violinist thought experiment. It goes something like this. She says, imagine that you wake up one day and you find that you have been connected against your will overnight to a famous violinist. His kidneys have shut down. He has a very rare blood type. You happen to be the only person in the whole area whose blood type matches. So the Society for Music Lovers has kidnapped you, hooked your kidneys up to his, and now your kidneys are filtering the blood for both of you. And the basic question that she asks is, are you morally obligated to stay hooked up to the violinist? And she thinks the obvious answer is no. I mean, it would be very decent of you if you did. It would be very generous of you, but you can't be morally obligated to stay hooked up to the violinist because you never gave your consent for the violinist to use your body against your will. And that's sort of the crucial element. Had you done that, then a case could be made that you are obligated to stay hooked up, but because you didn't do that, you never gave the violinist consent to use your body against your will, you are not obligated, even though disconnecting yourself will mean the death of the violinist. And that's a tragic thing, but nonetheless, it's your choice because you are sovereign over your body. Now, the analogy is quite clear. The violinist is clearly a person, as Thomson has granted that the fetus is a person, but that fact doesn't matter. All that matters is you did not give your consent. You yourself said it, actually. You said that your rights stop the moment your rights start infringing on another being's rights. Well, that makes it a push, because the woman's right to control her body then runs into the fetus's right to stay alive. And if the violinist thought experiment is indeed analogous to the abortion experiment, and you can criticize that, you can say, it's disanalogous in some way, and if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them. But assuming that Thomson is right and is analogous, and then further assuming her basic intuition that you are indeed entitled to unhook yourself from the violinist, then it follows by parity of logic that a woman is entitled to unhook herself from the fetus because she never gave the fetus the permission to use her body. It's a simple argument, it's a graceful argument. It was made about 30 years ago, and as I said, it completely revolutionized the discussion on the topic of abortion. Now, of course, Thomson closes her article by saying that she does not, in fact, think the fetus is a person, and I could argue that point as well, because I also don't think the fetus is a person. But more importantly, I don't think it matters. I agree with Thomson. I think it's irrelevant whether or not the fetus is a person. Fundamentally, what matters is that every person is sovereign over their own body. The fetus had no right to use the woman's body against her will. Therefore, the woman has the right to remove the fetus from her body. And that means that the woman doesn't have the right to kill the fetus. That's sort of an unfortunate side effect, because there's no way to remove a fetus from a person's body without killing it. If there were a way to remove it without killing it, let's say like putting it in an artificial womb, then that would be a different case. You'd have to consider that differently. But the way the current state of medical technology is at the moment, the only way you can remove a fetus is by killing it. So the right is not to kill the fetus. The right is to exert control over your body. You have that right. Every woman has that right. So that's the single most important argument on the topic of abortion in the last, as I say, the last 30 years. And it really is a shame that you feel you're in a position to state an opinion on this topic when you clearly haven't really looked into the literature. You haven't looked into the professional ethics literature on this subject. You watch people's videos on YouTube. These people are amateurs. Take a look at what the professionals are doing, and then come back and start talking to us, because that's where the real discussion happens. So I look forward to your responses on this topic if you have anything else to say. But suffice to say, your argument, if you even want to call it that, against abortion is paltry, weak, and uninformed. Thank you very much.